Hi there. Welcome to Elevate Wellness. I am Coach Latanya. I have over 20 years in the fitness and wellness space, and every day I help people online achieve their health and wellness goals through programs, products, and services. Oftentimes we hear people say, oh, if you want to lose weight, this is the diet you have to do. If you are looking for whatever that goal is, this is the diet you need to do. I have a different perspective on that, and I want to share with you why. Okay, so if you're interested in this topic, stay tuned. Now, when I refer to the word diet, I am not speaking of something that you do for 60 days or 90 days. It is a lifestyle. Now, I have discussed this before, that our bodies does change over time. We may have to alter it a little bit more, a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's something that you can sustain for the most part, okay? So, for example, I went keto about 2016, 2017, and I remained keto till about 3 years ago. And the reason why I changed is because my body temperature would be so hot. So like it's August now, we're going into September, and I felt like I was 15, 20 degrees warmer than the temperature. And as a matter of fact, I remember moving into this space, I think it was like 98 degrees on the day we moved in, and that was my last day of being in ketosis. And the reason why is because it felt like over 100, and it was just I was way too hot. So I know that when we have more protein and more fat, generally speaking, it elevates the body temperature because it keeps that body fat burning, okay? And so what I did is I kind of evolved into the lower carb lifestyle. So again, I usually have under 100 grams, under 100 net grams of carbs. So that's an example of evolving into. So I've made the adjustment. I enjoyed the low carb. I loved keto because it really helped to heal my body. And I didn't want to deviate from that. I just needed to kind of evolve it a little bit or tweak it a little bit so that I can tolerate heat better. And I do tolerate heat better, especially after the weight loss. I tolerate heat a lot better. Like right now, before I'd never be able to be in this space without a fan on. This year I tolerate heat so much better than I have in a very, very long time. So that is why I am no longer keto, but continuing that low carb lifestyle. It works for me. Now, I am not going to tell you, and this is not the first time you will hear this from me or the last, I am not going to tell you that you need to eat the way I eat, okay? I cannot tell you that you need to eat higher fat, moderate protein, because everybody is a little bit different. It is, there's so many factors when it comes to the perfect diet. But in a nutshell, what I recommend is having a whole food diet, a mostly whole food diet. And the reason why is because when we are consuming foods that are highly processed, filled with preservatives and fillers and things like that, colorants and all these different things, they can have a negative effect on our digestive system, on our well-being, on our health even, especially eating these foods long term. They are often void of nutrients, void of macronutrients, and so what happens is we need to eat larger portions or quantities because we're not getting that the nutrients that we need to feel satisfied. You hear me say this all the time. It really is about satiety. Okay, so if you're eating a particular diet and you're trying to lose weight and you're not feeling satisfied, that's going to really be detrimental. It could be detrimental because you're going to have cravings. You're going to give into those cravings because you're not feeling satisfied. So whatever diet you choose, you want to make sure that you're feeling satisfied. All right, so I'm going to do this little test with you. It's not a hard test, but I'm going to do this little test with you because I think this might help you get a better grasp or understanding on what types of foods serve you better. And then I'm going to show you what you can do with that information. All right, you ready? Let's go. All right, so for your first meal, let's say that you have a smoothie and the smoothie has hemp hearts in it, avocado in it, some protein powder. You could do plant-based or animal-based protein. And let's say you put a few berries in there. Now you have this smoothie, and will that smoothie, by having this smoothie, will that satisfy you, or will you need something else in addition to that smoothie? Okay. Now, let's say instead of having the smoothie, you have avocado toast and a few berries. And let's say that, you know, with that breakfast, which one is more likely to satisfy you? The smoothie with the hemp hearts and the avocado and the protein, or avocado toast with a few, with a piece of fruit, or even a fruit bowl, okay? A fruit bowl for breakfast. Is that going to satisfy you for several hours? Or are you going to be hungry in an hour or so? For myself, I can do the protein smoothie because I'm going to use whey protein. I'm going to, which is about 25 to 30 grams of protein, and then I'm going to have that with the avocado and the hemp heart. So I have the moderate protein and the higher fat and a little bit of berries. That is going to help me at least for 3 hours. Okay, so I consider that as a meal. Now, if I were to have the fruit bowl, I can tell you right now that is not going to work for me. I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to be weak. It's going to throw off my my blood sugars. I don't like the way I feel just eating something like that. I know that's not going to work for me. But which meal is going to work for you? All right, so I'll give you a moment to think about that. All right, let's say it's lunchtime. So for lunch, let's say you have a nice big salad with lettuce and cucumbers and chickpeas and beets and spinach and all of the beautiful colors, right? Let's say that you're having that with a nice vinaigrette dressing, maybe some, you know, a breadstick or something like that on the side, okay? Now, let's say that you have also the opportunity of having lentil soup, and the lentil soup with some sourdough bread and butter and some quinoa. Okay, and now let's say that you have the option of having the burger, sweet potato fries, and an avocado. Which one is more likely to satisfy you a little bit more? Okay, now for me, I can do the lentil soup because it has the protein in it, it has the fiber in it, the volume, we talked about volume eating, right? As well as the quinoa that has more protein in it, although it is plant-based protein, it has more protein in it as well. It's a complete protein as well, which is important. And I have the sourdough bread, and I put a little bit of butter on that, grass-fed butter, okay? So I have the fat, I have the fiber, and I have the protein in that one meal. Now, I can have the burger as well, but I'm more likely to have, especially during the workday, I'm more likely to have the burger and fries is okay. I don't mind having that, but I might have the lentil soup. I could go with either or, actually. I could go with the burger or the lentil soup, but not the salad only. There's no fat in there. There's no fiber in there for me. There's no fat in there, not enough fiber, and not enough protein for sure. Okay, so just looking at these types of foods for your meal kind of gives you a good indication of if you need more fiber, do you need more carbs, or do you need more fat? All right, so those are the things you want to kind of consider when you are looking for a diet or looking for a new way to eat. Do you need more fat, more fiber and carbs, or more protein? Which one is going to be more likely to satisfy you? I see a lot of people who are vegetarian, and they are doing these beautiful meals and all these colors and things like that. That is not for everybody. Okay, I am not saying that it's bad to be vegan or vegetarian, because it's not. If your body can tolerate that, then your body can tolerate that. But what I am saying is we have to understand that not everybody's body is the same. We have to look at lifestyle, we have to look at genetics, we have to look at what foods are more satisfying for that individual, and then tailor our meals in such a way that is conducive to that person's life and it's not a general statement. It should not be a general statement. So the perfect diet will be the diet that is more satisfying for you, the diet that helps supports your lifestyle. So for example, I did a lot of plant-based meals yesterday. I did more plant-based. And I was so tired today. I literally had to take a nap, and I slept for like 2 or 3 hours today. And I believe it's because my body trying to synthesize all that protein, or the plant-based protein is just a different fuel source. So I felt tired. And so I needed to sleep it off. I felt like I was coming down with something. I think if I gave my body over time, and it was a slower day for me, so that was good. But that does not work for me. Now, I know in my 20s when I grew up eating rice, I grew up eating sweet potatoes, but in my 20s I started to realize that the breads, the pastas, the white rice, the enriched foods, junk food made me bloated, made me sluggish. I felt horrible. And I wasn't able to pinpoint right away, but once I removed those foods, I definitely started to feel better, started to look better. Even I started to think better as well. So those foods, I don't recommend those processed foods for anyone, but I can also tell you that if I'm just having a salad is not going to be enough. If I'm just having a salad with no protein in it and maybe one egg and some fruit, that is not going to be satiating for me. So it's going to cause me to want to eat more and want to eat more and more and more. Okay. I also know that if I'm having foods that are more in protein and have the fat is more satisfying for me, and it supports my lifestyle. Okay. So that's another thing to consider. Does that diet, does that low fat diet, that low carb diet, that high protein diet, does that diet support your lifestyle? Okay. Are you able to eat every 3 hours if you're going to be hungry? Or do you need a plan that's going to be every 4 hours with whatever job or whatever work you're doing, wherever your life, whatever season of life you're in? Okay. And genetics also plays an important part as well. We can't help the genetics that we're dealt with. We inherit them. And it's also important. This is why I think that it's important that our ancestral knowledge, who are the people that we come from, is very important, because when we are able to look at their ways and the way they move through life and the way they live their lives, it gives us a better understanding as to why we have inherited certain things. I know that my people are from the Carolinas and have been from the Carolinas for long before Columbus even thought about sailing the ocean blue. Okay. And so when I look at when I talk to my elders, or I look at records and things like that, they were farming, they were growing their own food. I grew up, that was a thing. I grew up learning the importance of growing your own food. It was just a way of life for me. It's not something that anyone sat down and told me about. This is what I saw. This is what I was exposed to. Foraging plant medicine and making salves and making teas. And so the things that I do now with the products and with well-being and the holistic approach is nothing that I learned from a book. It's the books reinforced the way I grew up. I just got tired of suppressing the way I grew up and decided to express it, because that's what makes me different. I have a knowledge that I'm able to share, and wisdom that I come from, and being able to share the holistic approach in this way. Okay. Now that you are able to determine which food type or which meal serves you best, what do you do with that? Okay, so what I recommend doing is going into MyFitnessPal. If you don't have one already, it's a free account. You can do the free service. You don't need to pay for anything. I am not getting paid to mention MyFitnessPal to you, but I use them and I love them. I love that app. Okay. But if you log that food, there is a place where you can look at your macros, and the macros will show you your fats, your protein, and your carbs. It'll show you the percentage. So if you log your food, I recommend logging your food for about 5 days and look at the average. Where are you higher? Are you higher in your fat, in your carbs, in your protein? or is it pretty much equal? Look and see which macro you need most of, okay? So I know that I need mostly fat. So about 50% of my diet is fat. And again, that's from avocados, that's from nuts, that's from seeds, things like that, right? So I feel great on that. My mind is clear on that. My energy is sustained on that. I'm in body fat burning. I have fuel for days for that. And so that serves me well. All right. So when you go into MyFitnessPal and you see that you have your carbs are higher, you want to make sure that of those carbs, most of them are whole food based. You also want to make sure that you are getting fiber in there. So the average for women about 25, for men about 35. That varies because for me, I do about 35 grams of protein, and that actually works best. And I think that's just because of what I've inherited, right? So after you looked at your foods, what type of foods serve you better, then you log your food into MyFitnessPal to help you determine what macro is most important for you, what foods satisfy you for about 3 to 4 hours, okay? I know we've had this before in the wellness industry, and saying things like, oh, we should be eating something every 2 to 3 hours to sustain your blood sugar. I don't agree with that. And if it's working for you, please may it continue to work for you. But for me, that does not, I don't believe that anymore, that concept anymore. So when I was eating, the rice and the pastas, what I would notice is that I needed to eat more often. Okay. And in eating more, if I did not eat more often, what happened, if I didn't eat every 2 to 3 hours, what I noticed is I would be low on energy. I would get the shakes, my blood sugar would crash, never able to fast when I was more of a carb burner. I was never able to go longer than, 3-4 hours. I had to always have food with me. And even now, if I'm going somewhere, I don't necessarily have to have food, but what I try to do is have a protein shake or something before I go out. And then if I'm out for a long time, I'm having a burger without a bun or something like that, something that I can navigate. But I would always have to have snacks with me when I was more of a carb burner. I don't like that. I don't like having to have food with me all the time. I don't like having to eat every 2 to 3 hours. I don't like the way I felt. And I definitely didn't like the sugar crashes. Okay. So that did not work for me. It didn't work for my lifestyle, because when I'm working with someone, I'm working with clients all morning long, okay? Anywhere between 6 to 12 o'clock, 7 to 12 o'clock, all morning long, I'm working with clients. And so I don't want to stop to work with someone. Like right now, it's summertime. My first appointment is at 7 o'clock. My last appointment, I'm done by 11:30. So that's time to eat again. Right? But if I were eating the protein, the carbs, I would need to eat at 7, then I would need to eat at 9 or 9:30, then I need to eat again at 11. Like, that's a lot of eating. I don't want to do that. Okay? So it doesn't work for my lifestyle. It does not satiate, and my genetics, right? If you're predisposed to, or you have family members who have diabetes, then I'm not saying you should not have sugar, but I'm saying you may want to look at how much you're having, definitely how much processed carbs you're having. You want to have more fiber. You want to have more carbs that has a lower glycemic level, things like that. So you want to be mindful of those things as well. All right. So when it comes to the perfect diet, what is the perfect diet? The perfect diet is the diet, the way of eating that works best for you. All right. There's going to always be a lot of information of this is what worked for me, and this is what's going on, and so this is why you should do it too. I am not going to tell you that. Okay. I'm going to tell you to check your genetics, look at your body, see what your body responds best to, what satiates. Look at your genetics as far as your background. Is there diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure? If it's high blood pressure, you want to make sure that you're not eating foods with a lot of sodium in them. You want to eat foods that has the minerals, the macronutrients in there to balance the water content. and all of that within the body. There's so many things, so many different factors that goes along with the perfect diet. Okay, so if you would like more information, or you would like something that's more customized for you, you can go over to my virtual wellness studio, LaTonyaBaruch.com, and schedule a wellness coaching session with me. Together, you and I will discuss your lifestyle, your goals, the foods that you eat, and come up with a strategic or a specific plan that is catered to you and your needs. All right. I want to thank each and every subscriber for subscribing to this channel, this community. I appreciate your presence here, and I hope that these videos are serving you well. If you've not already subscribed and you enjoy this content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, so the next time I upload a video, you will be among the first to be notified. We are going into September now, so we're going to do Step It Up September, where I'm going to working on a challenge that you could do, and so look out for that. I'll post that in the community. Welcome in September as we step up our wellness, and until next time, live beautiful.